Alright, and welcome back to Zero Cool Gaming, and today's and today's review of the Bureau, XCOM Declassified.
We've been intercepting these signals for the past 6 months. We still don't know their origin, but our analysts have concluded that they are encrypted orders for sleeper agents operating inside this country.
Just the sort of thing Mr. Hoover has been warning about.
Soviet operatives have penetrated the very highest levels of our military and government.
So what is this game about? Well, it starts out with a meeting between a bunch of military leaders, and the leader, or at least one of the people in the meeting, starts explaining to them that while though there are threats around the world that need to be dealt with, their most pressing threat currently has nothing to do with any of them, and it is actually an alien threat. And one of the generals asks the man, well, can you prove this? And he explains that yes, he's found an alien artifact that had been here on Earth for quite some time, and he calls up to have that artifact brought down to the meeting room so that everyone can see it. So a lieutenant is dispatched to go tell Agent Carter that he needs to bring the alien artifact down to the meeting room, and the lieutenant that was dispatched is actually an alien operative. She attempts to kill Carter and destroy the artifact. He prevents the alien lieutenant from completely destroying the artifact by killing her, and when the artifact seemingly destroys itself, it also heals Agent Carter. After that, they make a phone call to find out what's going on, and or at least he's asked to go down to the conference room and help to extract the military command that's down there. When he gets there, he finds one general alive, and while they're conversing with him, a lady drops out of the ceiling and puts a bullet in his back. Agent Carter tries to subdue and eliminate what he perceived to be the threat, and while doing so, she explains to him that the general that survived is not a general, he's an alien, or at least one that a person who has been taken over by an alien influence. So in response, once they realize this, they end up killing the general and then working together to try to find the doctor and get out of the base before it's destroyed. Eventually they end up splitting up and told to evacuate to the test facility, and in the process of doing so, Agent Carter tries to extract as many actual humans as he can in the process of getting out of there, where the other agent, the lady that he was fighting with, ends up finding the doctor and going or leaving through another extraction point. Eventually they get on a train in an effort to escape the mountain that they are currently within, and as they do so, they go by a piece of equipment that has seemingly turned itself on and created a miniature black hole. They barely escape its pull, and as they do so, the mountain itself is destroyed or sucked into it and destroyed. They eventually make it to the extraction point, and they get aboard a helicopter and take off. And just as they do so, a failsafe device or small nuke is deployed to destroy the extraction point itself and eliminate any alien threat that remained. When they finally make it to the Bureau, they see that it seems to be a small facility, but in truth the Bureau itself is deep underground. They land the helicopter on a elevator and head down toward the Bureau. When they get inside the Bureau, he once again meets the lady that he tried to kill earlier, and she reveals that she herself is a military officer, and she has several things that she needs to do currently to get ready for the meeting that they're going to be having later, where the professor, doctor, whoever, will explain to all of them what their new objectives and orders are. And he meets with his roommate and a person that will be helping him to investigate different instances around the world. And initially they don't seem to like each other too much, but they all go down to the meeting and learn that yes, the threat that they now face is an extraterrestrial threat, and it has subdued most of the planet already and killed off all of Strategic Command and the political establishment that once existed, and are currently in the process of establishing control over the planet itself.
And this was kept secret?
From whom?
Alright, so after the meeting, he's asked to assemble his team and get ready for his first mission. In the process of assembling his team, he finds that one of his team members has been killed, and he was killed by an alien that had already infiltrated the Bureau itself. Apparently they're able to conceal themselves and look very human to begin with, and then, of course, once they reveal themselves, then they don't look human anymore. After, receiving that loss, of course, they need a replacement, and then he continues on to assemble the rest of the team. On his way to meet the doctor to get his orders on where he's going and what he'll be doing, another researcher stops him and explains to him that his job is to research any weaponry, artifacts, things to that effect that they bring back to the Bureau of the aliens, so that it can be refitted, redesigned for their use. And he ends up giving him a basically a laser blade, I guess is a way of putting it. Something to that effect. It's for melee combat, and it's the first project that they've completed from their research that is offensive weaponry that they can use. After speaking with the researcher, he goes on to talk to the doctor, and he tells him that he needs to head to a university to retrieve a professor that is there, because the research that professor has been working on might be able to help them drastically in the future. And they go have a little back and forth because he wants to save people, and the director of the Bureau, I guess that's who he is now, is the director, tells them that the university itself is under attack by the aliens, and they'll be able to do both, save people and extract their professor at the same time. So they get on a helicopter and head to the university. When they get there, they find that most of the people are already dead. A few of the people are changing, being brainwashed or converted, And of course there's aliens there that are currently killing off anybody who resists. They end up finding a group of people holed up inside of a bank vault, and they tell them that they can go back the way that they came, and they'll be able to help them leave once they finish their mission there. On their way to find the professor that they're looking for, they run into his assistant, and his assistant tells them, you know, that he's down in a research lab below the observatory, and he had gone up to collect the professor's notes in an effort to try to convince the professor to leave. So they fight their way to the observatory, and when they make it to the underground lavatory, they find that the assistant is being converted into an alien by whatever means they're using to do that. And they also learn that the research that the doctor is conducting is research in the aliens' teleportation technology. And it's hoped that they will be able to create a stable teleporter from the Earth to the aliens' homeworld so that they can make a direct counter invasion onto their planet and hopefully stop what's currently happening. So they eventually do get the doctor and start their, you know, extraction of him and leave. And as they do so, an alien vessel flies in and drops off a bunch of essentially stormtroopers to put an end to that idea. Alright, so after you get the professor back to base, the research scientist that's developing new weaponry for you ran into a little problem when they were testing a device to identify who else may be affected by the alien signal. They were using captured insectoids, alien insects, to see if their device was effective. And it was a little more effective than he thought it would be, as the insectoids were able to escape as a result of their agitation to the device that they were using. And he asks you to go into the venting system to track down the insectoids and eliminate them before they end up attacking the XCOM base or people within it. Then after that, you meet with the director, Director Falk, and he tells you that the alien that they had captured for interrogation is a much more docile being after they removed different implants that were scattered throughout his body. And one of the implants that was in his head, which most likely works as both a communications array as well as a form of brainwashing. So you go in to interrogate him, and you find that the only thing that they really respect about the human species is our, let's just say, our ability to push through and find a way. So you push through and find a way to get him to speak by putting a bullet through his shoulder. And he tells you afterwards that there is a way for the human species to use their transporter technology, but they'll have to get a hold of a phase alignment piece of technology. And he also tells you that trying to do so will simply get you killed, because there's no way you'll be able to get close enough to one. All of them that are on this planet are heavily guarded. And you respect his tenacity, to say the least, and you tell him to take him down to the medical facilities to get treatment for his injuries. And then you head off to the director to have a debriefing with him, and he's a little upset with the fact that you shot the only living member of the alien species they have, but he's also grateful that you were able to find some, hopefully, correct information out of him. And he tells you that they had already sent a team in the area of where one of these devices could be found, and that team went dark 2 days ago as they tried to infiltrate the facility to gain more information on the alien invaders.
Are you tracking Axis?
After which you go talk to the lieutenant,
That's cryptic.
and she would love to have a crack at interrogating him as well, and you realize very quickly that she'd probably end up killing the alien if she was ever given a chance to do so. And she tells you to, good luck on your mission, in the hope that you're able to retrieve this device, and the team of researchers they have there at the Bureau will be able to either recreate it or repurpose it for human use. And then you head off to go retrieve it with your new team. And when you get there, you realize very quickly that this is not going to be an easy retrieval, because the area that you've gone to is quite literally a military base that's been taken over by the alien invaders.
Why didn't they send us some kind of warning?
Which means not only do you have to worry about their technology, but you'll have to worry about human technology that's been repurposed for their use.
Luck hasn't been on our side.
They weren't stupid when they decided to make this a transport facility, a back and forth between their home world and this world. They knew that this place would be easily defendable, and that they could repurpose our technology to suit their purposes. Alright, so before you actually go off to collect the new item you need to help you win the war, as with most games, there are side quests. And side quests help you to gather more resources, maybe free some people, and always to, maybe get better armor, better armaments, better guns, things to that effect. Things that make the game a little easier. And this game has plenty of side quests that'll do that. They don't give you big boosts to anything, and they don't progress the story really, but they do allow you to gather, this, that, and the other to make the game a little easier along the way. And this game has plenty of side quests. You usually have 2 to 3 side quests that you can go on before each main quest. And completing those, like I said, it'll allow you to level your characters up, maybe get a little extra hit points, things to this effect. Maybe get some better armor, better, ammo for your guns, things like that. Or just, gather a new research trinket that might help you out later on down the line. So, eventually you end up going after this device, and you meet the guy that you're supposed to be working with, who is your partner in crime in that respect, that you met at the beginning of the game. And him and his team were sent in before you to investigate this area. The rest of his team is dead, and he's been infected. He's slowly losing his mind, and before that happens, he decides that the best course of action for him would be to essentially turn himself into a suicide bomber, creating a diversion and something for the enemy to look at, which gives you the opportunity to sneak past most of their main forces and eventually end up inside the base itself. Once in there, you see that they are collecting and transporting humans back to their homeworld, and you surmise that this is probably for a enslaved labor force that they're essentially creating. But you still haven't figured out exactly how they're infecting people and how they're able to rewrite their minds in that respect. Once you make it inside the base itself,
if you have a moment.
the researcher that you're with is able to access the systems that they use and discern exactly where this device that you're looking for is, as well as shut down some of the base defenses, automated systems, things to that effect.
That's better than nothing.
Once you retrieve the device, you head back to base, and by the time you get there, the researchers have developed a method for which to identify those who have been infected. And essentially you're told that for normal humans this is nothing but noise, but if you've been infected, it's going to affect you greatly. And when they turn this noise on, the only one who gets affected is you. But you're not infected as the others are in that respect. What infected you was the artifact at the beginning of the game that actually healed you. So once they realize this, they decide that you're not a threat and let you return to surface. And then you meet back up with the researcher that develops your armament and your weapons and things to that effect. And he wants you to essentially go around the base with a handheld device and search for any infected that may be within the base, you know, on the down low, so that no one will notice. And that way it doesn't not only arouse suspicion, but cause a ruckus. And of course you agree to do that, and you search the base, and they quietly isolate those who you found to be infected. And then you head on back to the
How do you do that?
Quite remarkable. It has to do with how they process
research lab,
and communicate with the mosaic
where
network.
the professor is working on the device that you located to see if there's anything that can be gathered from it, or if it can be repurposed for the use of actually transporting a forward mission onto the aliens' homeworld in the effort to stop the invasion altogether.
At least if it doesn't work, we'll all be dead.
Very reassuring, Agent Carter.
So eventually you head off to find this alien that they've named Access. And initially you thought that Access was simply a
You thought you could trust him.
alien that was coordinating the efforts between their homeworld and the Earth and keeping the warp gates open. But once you get to his facility, you find that that's not exactly what his work is. In truth, he
Just stay alert.
is the one
Weaver already has a head start on
alien
us.
researcher that
Who is he,
developed
His
the
name is
infection
Pete.
Your brother.
that's turning humans into essentially sleepwalkers and slaves to the alien species.
Is he,
And then you find out why Walker wants
I don't know.
to get a hold of Access so
Bastards are
badly.
still using him.
Because years before he had stolen her brother, and her brother was quite literally patient zero for this disease.
From live human test subjects.
His body
Brother.
was
He was one
used
of
to
the
not
early test
only
subjects.
develop the
This
disease,
facility has
but
been here for a long
was
time.
used to see how effective it was on humans.
Then it's time we shut it down.
And when you get there and locate her brother,
I don't know.
he's
At this point, he's
been
been a sleepwalker for
infected
years.
for far too long
won't
to be
let him
saved.
disappear
His
forever.
brain is
He's
complete
lucky to have you
mush.
as a sister.
I'm a
And
year
rather
younger
than
him,
make
but he was
Walker
the one schoolboys
kill her
always
own
picked on.
family, you push the button for her to end his
We
life.
should have to do that to
Because
her
you
own
know, even
family.
if you do develop
Let
a
me take
cure,
this one, Angie.
it
No,
won't be able to
I
cure
should.
him.
Angela, I know how you
Later
feel
on,
right
you
now.
find Access himself,
Your family.
but luckily,
Okay, well.
uh, through accessing the computers there at his research facility, you find the information that you actually need, which is the coordinate and functional data necessary to keep a stable wormhole between Earth and the alien homeworld. Meaning that Access himself isn't
Goodbye, Petey.
necessarily needed anymore, and you don't have to keep him alive in order to find that information. He was gracious enough to put it on a database for you. And because you realize that you don't need to keep him alive anymore, once you do capture him, you allow Walker to end his life, therefore giving her a little closure for what he's done to her family over several years. And then of course you return to base. Once you return to base, you find that the information that you receive from the database is in fact correct and does allow the science team to open a stable wormhole between Earth and the alien homeworld. You also find that the research team has been working on a special device for the Avenger, which is a spaceship you've been building since the beginning of the game. They won't tell you what that special device is, but they're almost complete in their development of it. And then you find that one of the doctors wants your help in testing the new cure that they found and developed for the sleepwalker virus that's been spreading across the world. When you get there, you find out that the reason they want your help is because simply purging their body of the infection itself is not enough. Their minds remain in a sleep state regardless. And the only way to fix that is to find someone that the patients themselves are connected to and hope that that connection will create a bridge in their psyche, allowing you to bring them out of the sleep state that they are in. They also know that if you fail to do so, the condition will only worsen as a result. So it's kind of a one-shot and done sort of thing. You either bring them out of it completely or they'll remain in it forever. Even if you do cure them of the infection itself,
So what will I be doing in there?
the mental scar that's left in their mind, it's very possible that it, for many of the infected, will be permanent regardless of the cure that you've been able to develop. Alright, so you're ready to board the flying saucer that you've built, and you find out that the secret project that they've been working on is essentially an atomic bomb, but a really big one. And you head toward the alien wormhole system that they've been using to transport large ships back and forth between their world and our world. When you get there, it's essentially a dam that's been converted to a wormhole creation system. You hack into the system and you open the wormhole and travel through. When you do find Origin and Mosaic, the system that they use to not only control their own kind, but control the infected here on Earth. And when you locate Origin, Origin is a alien, but he has control of another alien species, which he calls demons. But as a result of this connection that he has with these things that he calls demons, he's been able to build the advanced technology that the aliens have and the systems of control that they've been using. So rather than go after Origin himself, you decide that your best course of action would be to capture the other alien that he calls a demon, considering that you have one of these aliens inside of you as well. And Origin makes this fact known to you by trying to extract that alien from you. After which you guys set the bomb, head back toward the wormhole, and
Yes, sir,
essentially
I do.
blow up their
Unexpected,
major
no
city
less.
that all of this
I'm
technology
ready to put
exists
these
within.
bastards in the ground for good.
When you
No matter
return
what
to
it
Earth,
I know. You once asked me
you
why I chose you
release
despite your record.
one of the
This is
two
why, Carter. Because you're a man
aliens
who
that
will not
you've
quit, no
been
matter what.
having
Thank you,
within
sir.
yourself
Don't thank me. Prove me
since
right.
the
Get out there and get it done.
attack on their homeworld. And
I just don't understand.
then you head out
Our
to a
missions have been
meeting
success.
where the
Your
director
missions have been a
explains
success.
that
If you
even
always
though
get your
you
talents and
shut
values
down
aligned with
all
your
of
objective
the
successful. And
wormholes
even so,
to and
no
from
one
the
else has
other
your success rate in the field.
We can get more agents,
alien
better
world,
training.
The outsiders
and
are the
you
ones who
develop a
handle
cure
secret
for
troops,
their
not us. There's only one
infection
option.
that they've been
You've
spreading
got to
around the
take
world.
fight to them.
There's still a lot of aliens on this world now that need to be
Hasn't this
eliminated,
origin been
captured,
around
and
for-
whatnot.
Well, forever for all we know.
So there's still quite a bit of work to be done. And then after the meeting, you head toward Director Falk and
Origin.
have a conversation with him as to what you can do now. And of course, he has
What does
some
that mean?
new missions for you and some new objectives for you to carry out. And there's still the problem of dealing with the secondary alien life form that
Start making
is
sense.
still inside of you. Alright, so after the return to Earth and the subsequent knowledge of the existence of these ethereal aliens,
What was in the case?
Carter does everything he can to break his bond with that alien, realizing that in time it may come to the conclusion that destroying mankind would be better than allowing us to exist. And then there's the other problem of the mosaic system that you thought you destroyed when you destroyed their main base on their homeworld. But unfortunately, part of that system still exists on a satellite that is currently in orbit around our planet. Shortly after you break the bond that you have with the alien, you're placed under arrest by the director, and the director allows himself to be bonded with the alien. And then they travel to the satellite to destroy both the core and destroy the mosaic system as well. Initially, what he does is he stops the hostilities of the aliens that still exist on our planet, as well as the ones on the satellite, with the mosaic system, and then he uses them to rebuild our world. Then he uses it to allow the humans to essentially annihilate what remains of the alien force, and then destroys the satellite. After destroying the satellite, the alien that he had bonded with breaks his bonds with him and goes somewhere, and nobody knows where. And that's the end of this game. It's a pretty interesting game. It's a lot of fun. It's not your normal XCOM game in the fact that, yes, you do have a team, and yes, you can issue orders, but it's more simplified. It's made a lot more simplified than most real-time strategy games. And that's one of the reasons that I like this game. I don't really like RTS in general, but I didn't mind this application of it, or this kind of RTS game, mainly because it's more of an action RPG than it is an RTS. It has elements of both, of course, but its main driving game aspect is more of an action RPG like Mass Effect than it is a RTS game like Command and Conquer or something to that effect. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And it's got a decent story to it. A lot of things that, twists and turns. And I liked a lot of the side quests. I liked how you could upgrade your weapons and defenses and your ability to access, alien technology. All of that plays out pretty well in the game. And the more side quests you do, the more access, I guess is a way of putting it, that you will be allowed to engage with throughout the game. And a lot of that really has to do with accessing lore and knowledge and things to that effect about the aliens, their strong points, their weak points, stuff like that.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, the Bureau.
Not from where
Pretty
I'm
fun game.
standing.
I enjoyed it. Several hours. I mean, it's a good 35 hour game with the way that I played it. So I felt like I got my money's worth out of it.
Actually work.
That's for sure. Yeah, I guess that'll be my rant for the day. So if this sounds like something that you would enjoy, by all means, give it a try. It's a pretty fun game. And if you could hit the like, subscribe, rumble, follow buttons, all that does help. And I'll talk to you later.
Couldn't have saved them. Not even with your help. When they were taken from me, I thought I'd lost everything. I've got another idea. I know you bastards can survive in this goop, so I'll make you a deal. Get out of my head. Now. Or I'll blow us all to Kingdom Come. I'd rather kill us all than be your puppet 1 second longer. Wonder if you feel the same way. Well, I guess we're about to find out.
Then you'll understand when I kill you. Barrier down. Time to get this thing started.
You must not do this. You will destroy us all.
Roger, I'll see what I can do. Help is on the way.
Earth under our command. The potential was staggering. These creatures came here to conquer, but with Mosaic under my control, I was able to force them to rebuild our world, the world they nearly destroyed. We used them to dismantle and conceal what we could, and to destroy what we could not. Their remaining spacecraft was allowed to fall into the atmosphere. Nothing remains. We did preserve a small amount of their technology for study. It should allow us to make great strides.
And the outsiders themselves?
We could not allow them to remain on Earth, given all that had happened.
Not all of the evidence could be removed.
No, but our cover seems to have worked. The areas that the burn teams couldn't clean have been sealed off. References to those locations are in the process of being removed from the National Register. History will have no memory of the outsider invasion. No one will ever be aware of how close we came to the edge.
This lie will hold?
We control the relevant news media. All those who could dispute it are dead or already inside our organization.
What of the infected?
We're treating them humanely. In time, they will pass naturally.